Alright, this video is not official at all, but I have come up with some interesting ideas for how to redesign Trimet's North Terminal. Firstly, what is North Terminal? It's a set of two bus loops right by Union Station that quite a few bus lines end at. There are two different ones of these, and so there's two entrances. They both have special names. There's North Terminal 5th, which has an entrance off of 5th Avenue, and there's North Terminal Hoyt, which has its entrance off of Hoyt Street. In total, 10 to 11 40-foot buses can be stored here at maximum capacity. And while that might be okay, if we want to expand service, or in fact store articulated buses here, we're gonna need some changes. And the existing design might get fairly full during rush hour, which again makes it A, hard to expand, and B, it makes it so that you kinda don't want operators taking a very long break here because you want to cycle in and out as many buses as possible. That can get problematic. Another problem I didn't even write in my script is that FX buses do not use North Terminal even though the buses end at Union Station. And while it's okay how the current design is because it means that you can still enter and exit through the buses, unlike North Terminal, don't try and board buses at North Terminal, those are out of service. You can board FX buses at Union Station. They do not pull into North Terminal, in part because they are 60-foot buses, and the terminal was not designed for that. So bus lines like the 9 or the 36 turn around using North Terminal, and a lot of other bus lines turn around using Burnside Street between 6th and 5th and going back onto 5th. In fact, many more of them use Burnside to turn around than North Terminal. And yeah, it might be worth expanding the rest of the services so that more of the transit mall gets coverage. And so lines like the 54 and 56, and some of the rush hour ones like the 1 and 99, which turn around using this area, could actually be extended all the way up to North Terminal. The 94 is weird because it ends in this area and then it also actually parks in North Terminal. But it doesn't serve any of the stops. It's kind of weird. The 94 is a weird oddity. So what's my idea? The North Terminal parking garage. That's right, a 3-level, potentially more, parking garage. It would be located between Gleason and Hoyt Streets, and the entrance would face 4th Avenue. And there's already an existing building there, and it depends on if you want to tear those down. There are historic buildings, but I don't know anything about, National Register of Historic Places. I have no idea if those are on that. But there is half the block that you could build a sizable parking garage right there for buses. So the first floor of this parking garage would be kind of your extras. There would be office spaces, a new security center, possibly an area to store security trucks, a new break room with restrooms. It would be a fully built up first floor with Trimet spaces in it. Within the first floor would also be the ramp that would go straight up to the second floor, which I'll talk about later. There would also be a motorized gate controlled by an operator, not a bus operator, but by a gate operator, which is designed to keep the buses in the parking garage and the general public out of the garage. This would not be a public parking garage. You are not allowed to enter this garage. It is for Trimet employees and Trimet vehicles only. The second floor would have the spots to park the buses. You would have, depending on how much room, 8 to 10 bus bays that you could park on the second floor, and they would be angled slightly so that it makes it easier to pull the buses in and out. And then with the third floor you'd have another 8 to 10 parking spaces. And so this pretty much doubles the amount of capacity that we have today. The third floor would be the roof, and so up here you could have some solar panels, and the whole parking garage could be powered on renewable electricity. This is not a new concept. There is a parking garage in downtown Hillsborough that has been doing this since 2010, and it has electric car chargers. So here is the layout of the second and third floors and how the bus bays are set up. So you can see again that they are angled, which allows it just makes some things easier. And there are one-way loop roads that both go in the same direction, but it depends on if the bus is coming into the garage or coming out of the garage. And within the back of the garage, if you're looking at it, there would be a roadway that forms an X, where some buses go up the parking garage and others go down. They're one-way ramps that form an X in the back. So let's assume 8 buses per floor. That means you could store 16 buses, but it's important to design the floors long enough to be able to store buses of any size. A 30-foot, 40-foot, or 60-foot should all easily be able to fit in this north terminal parking garage. Lines like the 9 or the 54, which could potentially use this, and even the 14 if you extended it up this way, would definitely benefit with being able to use the parking garage and to be able to fit 60-foot buses in the parking spaces. Then you could add a 4th floor if you wanted to, and that would increase it to 24 buses that could be parked here. The possibilities are endless, although it would take a while to drive all the way up to the 4th floor. And then the existing north terminal spaces could be used for whatever. You could use it to store patrol cars, or for training purposes, or to store the FX buses, or to just store extra buses. Or you could rebuild a new break room there, or maybe somehow put in some really small transit-oriented development, although I don't know if I would do it right there. The possibilities are endless. You could also have some training exercises, shuttle buses, or people who are on the extra board parking in the existing north terminal spaces until it's their turn to drive somewhere. Like I said, possibilities are endless. And last thing, if you have lots of buses that are going to be using the north terminal parking garage, you're probably going to want to split up the last stop into 2 last stops, either 6th and Flanders or Everett and 5th. So the buses that end at 6th and Flanders are like today's FX buses or the 9, and they'll pull in, they'll serve 6th and Flanders, they'll take a right onto Flanders, then a left onto 4th Avenue, and then into the parking garage. If the buses ended at Everett and 5th, they would take a right onto Everett, serve the stop at Everett and 5th, and that would be its last stop, and then it would keep going down Everett and also take a left onto 4th and go into the parking garage. I hope that makes sense. Then as buses leave the parking garage, they will take a left out of the parking garage onto 4th, a left onto Hoyt, and then a left onto 5th, so kind of a 3-point turn. And then its first stops in service would all be 5th and Davis, 5th and Pine, and then everything else is distributed across the transit mall, just like it currently is. So that's it. A unique take on North Terminal to allow for much more flexibility with 40-foot and 60-foot buses, as well as more buses to be stored in a small space. I think it's interesting. Let me know what you guys think about it, and I will see you soon with another video.